3 of the Passion Week, and day 3 is called Holy Tuesday. Um, this is the last Tuesday before Easter Sunday, and Jesus is going to go back into Jerusalem. Now, on the way, Peter sees the tree that was cursed the day before and tells Jesus, "Hey, look, the tree has withered." And Jesus takes this time to encourage the disciples to keep their faith and the importance of forgiving others. Now, the tree represents the consequences of those who don't have faith in God. But I also believe it represents the faith of believers who fail to show the fruit of the Spirit that we talked about yesterday. I want to read James chapter 2, verses 14 through 17, real quick, just to kind of reinforce what we just talked about. James chapter 2, verses 14 through 17. It says, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, it is not accompanied by action, is dead." So, are you producing the fruit? Is your faith alive and active? So after Jesus curses the tree, and James sees that, or I'm sorry, that Peter sees that it has been withered. They go back into Jerusalem and they're walking in the temple courts. And Jesus is confronted by the so-called religious elites, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, scribes, teachers of the law, so forth. And they question Jesus on his authority. Jesus, in his normal fashion, answered their question with the question. And he's asking, John's baptism, was it from heaven or was it human origin? And the question posed a big problem for the religious elites because if they would have said heaven, they would have to answer why they didn't believe in John the Baptist. If they say human origin, they would have to answer to the people who thought John the Baptist was a prophet. So they do what most skeptics do, and they just didn't give an answer. After this, Jesus gives one of the most famous parables, and it's the parables of the talents or the tenants. And I want to read that parable if I can. It's going to be found in Mark chapter 12, starting with verse 1. It says, Jesus then began to speak to them in parables. A man planted a vineyard. He put a wall around it, dug a pit for the winepress, and built a watchtower. Then he rented the vineyard to some farmers, or you could say tenants, and moved to another place. At harvest time, he sent a servant to the tenants to collect for them some of the fruit of the vineyard. But they seized him, beat him, and sent him away empty handed. Then he sent another servant to them. They struck this man on the head and treated him shamefully. He sent still another, and that one they killed. He sent many others. Some of them they beat, others they killed. He had one left to send, a son whom he loved. He sent him last of all, saying, "They will respect my son." But the tenants said to one another, "This is the heir. Come, let's kill him, and the inheritance will be ours." So they took him and killed him and threw him out of the vineyard. What then will the owner of the vineyard do? He will come and kill those tenants and give the vineyard to others. Haven't you read the passage of Scripture? The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it's marvelous in our eyes. Then the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders looked for a way to arrest him because they knew he had spoken the parable against them. But they were afraid of the crowd, so they left him and went away. Later on, they would try to catch Jesus over his words, but Jesus refused to play politics, whether it was right to pay taxes to Caesar. I have long said that Jesus wasn't concerned with the politics of the day. Jesus was more concerned about people repenting and believing in him and following him. That was his concern. When that failed, the Sadducees, after they couldn't trick him into politics over whether or not the Israelites should have to pay taxes. When that failed, the Sadducees, who didn't believe in the resurrection, asked Jesus about a woman who married a man who was one of seven brothers. He died before his wife could have children. And following the law of Moses, she married the other brother, and he died before she had children. And this would go on and on and on until all seven brothers all died and never gave her children. They asked Jesus who would be her husband in heaven. Jesus' response was not what they were looking for. His response was, they will be like the angels in heaven. After these two attempts didn't work, they asked God about what is the greatest commandment. And Jesus told them that the greatest was to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. He also added that the second was to love your neighbor as yourself. After this, Jesus would admonish the religious elite and he would travel back out of town. And this is what took place on day 3. Now, I want us to go back and talk about the parable of the tenants. The owner of the vineyard is God. The farmers are tenants are the religious elite of Israel, and the servants are the prophets, and the son is Jesus. You know, the farmers neglected and killed all the prophets, or the servants, and his son, the vineyard will, because they killed his son, the vineyard is going to put them to death, and he's going to give that land to others. The others, I believe, represent the Gentiles. This would upset the religious elite greatly, and yet again, they looked for a way to arrest him. Now, on Good Friday, they will find a way to arrest him, and they're going to use Judas to do it. And I look forward to looking at Wednesday, because this is the day that Judas agrees to betray the Son of God. I hope you've enjoyed this study, and please remember that on Sunday we are going to conclude this study at services, Sunday morning services in at Salisal Church of Christ, 1104 East Choctaw. That service is going to, or will start at 10:30, but you're more than welcome to join us for Bible study at 9:30. We look forward to seeing you, and I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. I hope everyone has a